Hello and welcome to News Now. I am Omobolanle Adeshuyi. We'll begin with Oyo State Governor SEYI MAKINDE, who emphasized the need for Nigeria to attain true socio-economic prosperity, saying it had become expedient for all citizens to live in peaceful coexistence irrespective of tribe and religion. The Oyo State Executive stated this in Ibadan during the launch of the newly built SHASHA market in the Akinyele Local Council District of the state.
Let me encourage the market users to continue to dwell in peace. The commercial activities which take place here and in other parts of our dear state are vital to the growth of Oyo State's economy. The separate incidents that occurred in November 2020 and February 2021 remain footnotes in history that should not repeat itself. We must not allow things like ethnicity, language, religion, or any such matters to divide us.
And still in Oyo State, the Commissioner of Police in Oyo State, Ngozi Onodeko, has paraded 31 suspects arrested for criminal acts, including a member of the gang that robbed staff of a private radio station in Ibadan. The gang, according to Onodeko, an Assistant Inspector General of Police, specialized in robbing hotels, hospitals, and other public places. The police boss said all other suspects arrested would be charged to court upon the conclusion of the investigation into their cases.
While appreciating the cooperation enjoyed from members of the public, relevant sister agencies, media, and non-state actors in reducing crime to its barest minimum, the command wishes to appeal to all and sundry against spreading fake news and indulging in the condemnable acts of jungle justice, as it destroys evidence, distorts investigation, and denies the accused right to fair hearing. In the same vein, the command's monitoring unit and escort units have been effectively mobilized across the length and breadth of the state to ensure utmost professionalism from the officers and men as they discharge their duties in compliance with the standard best practice.
Oh, we are going to hotel beside the Fresh FM, and we now saw a car that coming from that Fresh FM. That's how we brand into Fresh FM.
I'm the owner of the gun that was displayed there. The gun was not the result of the murder.
I went there to buy
At where is the hotel located?
So we are there drinking together. So there was a lady that the lady was passing by. So the ladies mentioned it and the manager name, happy, something like that. And before we even know it, she's the one that even opened the gate and come and join us. And she met us by drinking a gin.
And in the Oyo State capital, the Federal Secretariat, located in Ikolaba, Ibadan, was shut down by students protesting against the ongoing strike embarked upon by the Academic Staff Union of Universities, Asuu. The students carried placards with various inscriptions, such as, quote, "Education is right, not a privilege," end quote. "I shall want to graduate, end quote, and we're tired of staying at home. And education is a right, it should be free for all," among others. Speaking with journalists during the protest, the Student Union Government SUG President of UI, Adewale Adeyinka, stated that over 40,000 students of the institution were forced to stay at home due to the industrial action.
We took a stance of actually a peaceful mode, social media pressure and things like that. But the federal government has shown that without the last C of Aluta, they won't come to our aid, they won't listen to us. The election is the only thing on their mind. We have to tell the federal government that the future of this country is at stake. Over 3 months, they say an idle mind is the devil's workshop. You can't leave people, millions of students idle for that long, and you expect there will be progress and there will be peace in the country.
President Muhammadu Buhari should not address the whole Nigerian students as the president today. He should come out to address us as a parent. That's our first demand. Today, we strongly recommend that Mr. President fail to honor the recommendation of the UNESCO that 26% of the national economy and budget should be meant for Nigerian education. Third, it is not during only strike. The president should always call on Asuu. Asuu is the key member of Nigeria educational system, especially university system. Why not call on Asuu day in, day out to know where we have lapses and lacuna in Nigeria university system?
If the federal government could use a trick or a method to raise 2.5 billion within a week through the interest form of presidential of APC, if one person, singular person, can pocket 80 billion naira, federal government has what it takes to pay Asuu, to pay them off. So what we are demanding and we are asking, between now and 7 days, federal government should go and sort out the issue between Asuu and the federal government. They should go and pay them off.
And President Muhammad Buhari will leave on Thursday for the United Arab Emirates, UAE, to meet with the Asian nation's new president, Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed. Announcing his departure, presidential spokesperson Garba Shehu said the president's trip is to convey his condolences on the passing of the former president and ruler of Abu Dhabi, Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed. President Buhari will be accompanied by the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Zubairu Dada, the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Professor Isa Ali Pantami, and the Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Mohammed Bello, Minister of Aviation, Senator Hadi Sirika. Other members of his delegation are the National Security Advisor, Major General Mohammed Manguno, retired, and the Director General, National Intelligence Agency, Ambassador Ahmed Rufai Abubakar. The president is expected back in the country on Saturday. And the Minority Caucus in the House of Representatives has asked President Muhammad Buhari to sign the one-item amendment to the Electoral Act 2022. The bill was transmitted to him by the National Assembly for assent last week so as to avert an imminent political crisis in the country. The caucus notes with grave concern that Mr. President's delay in signing the single amendment to Section 84, subsection 8 to the Electoral Act 2022 has thrown the nation into serious confusion and constitutes a huge threat to the democracy and the smooth conduct of the 2023 general elections. In a statement by the minority leader of the House of Representatives, Right Honorable Ndudi Elumelu, the caucus urged the president that any further delay in signing the amendment to the Electoral Act to give political parties a sense of direction in the conduct of primaries for the election of candidates for the 2023 general elections has the capacity to derail our entire democratic process and destabilize the nation. The Minister of Federal Capital Territory, Mr. Mohammed Bello, has ordered the closure of DEI-DEI International Market indefinitely. The order came following a clash between commercial motorcyclists, popularly known as Okada riders, which claimed at least 4 lives. The minister gave the order after inspecting the scene of the incident alongside the FCT Commissioner of Police, Sunday Babaji, and other security agencies. According to the minister, trouble started in the market when a female trader fell off a commercial motorcycle and was crushed to death by an articulated vehicle. While dismissing initial report of a communal clash, he directed the community and market leaders to fish out the hoodlums responsible for the crisis. And the Kaduna state government has raised alarm that the activities of terrorist groups in the state. Speaking during the presentation of the first quarter security report for 2022 to the State Security Council, Commissioner for Internal Security and Home Affairs, Samuel Aruwan, said members of the Ansaru and Boko Haram terrorist groups have infiltrated some part of Benin Gwari and Gewa local government areas. Aruwan said the terrorists have been luring locals with gifts with a view to recruiting them into the criminal organization. Governor Nasir El-RUFAI expressed concern that the terrorists are moving from the northeast to the northwest with the intention of causing havoc. He added that those who attacked the Abuja-Kaduna bound train were Boko Haram terrorists. Meanwhile, Aruwan said no fewer than 360 people have been killed by suspected terrorists in different parts of Kaduna State from January to April. Kaduna Central Senatorial Zone recorded the highest casualties with 214 deaths, the commissioner said. Aruwan further noted that 1,389 people were kidnapped by bandits in different attacks across Kaduna State during the period under review, including the 62 victims of the March 28 attack on a Abuja-Kaduna train. And every country's right to freedom of the press is fundamental. However, governments in certain nations have been adjudged to have violated this fundamental right. Speaking with IBrandTV, Mustafa Abubakar, the academic secretary of the International Institute of Journalism Ilorin Study Center, analyzed this issue and suggested potential remedies.
We have not been able to get that freedom as it is. Of course, the struggle, the efforts to make sure that is included in what Nigerians should be caring about, as in gazetted, that one was done. And the implementation of it in its collective end was a problem. We only have it on paper, but it's very, very hard for us to say that the Nigerians have total opportunity for the freedom for that freedom, because there are obstacles in getting what you need to get. You don't expect a group or a representative of a group to be begging and try to struggle to get information needed for one or two things that is expected to be addressed, because that bill does not give room for such. You don't need to stress yourself. It's just a matter of you want to enter a room. Once you're able to knock the door is expected to be opened. But in this regard, collective effort in making it work, by my own assessment, collectively it has not led to. Now, from my own personal assessment, the problem is about the individual. You have opportunity of getting information. But at times you decide not to, because you feel that this information doesn't have anything to do with you. And if that happens, it means that you've not been able to annex yourself with the realities of what that bill is. Because it gives you all freedom to be able to get what you want. A reporter who is doing an investigative story, it's just for you to follow the ways arranged and you get what you want. But in most cases, we don't live where we are and we want to get what the bill has given us as opportunity. So from my own individual end, I think if I'm to score the two sides, we say we only have 800% on paper and 75% struggle to get what is on paper done, then the 50% is by chance. If you have a law that is not gazetted, it is you shouldn't be surprised that if you have another leader after the man who signed, not to even look at it. In Nigeria today, there's no continuity in what we do. And why I said there's no continuity, if I and you were not in the same political party, and you are able to do something meaningfully well for people, and by chance you left the seat, I came in. Because we are not in the same party, I'll look at what we have done to be, this is just for the party. I'll start my own afresh. As long as this is done, or this is happening among us, we'll still be having. So one of the challenges we're having that is affecting us is, to what extent is this law gazetted in the law of the Federal Republic of Nigeria?
And now let's bring you news from the African scene, where around 15 assailants were killed during a terrorist attack last week in the north of Togo that also left 8 soldiers dead, a minister said on Wednesday. Togo's troops are deployed in the north of the country to try and contain a jihadist threat, pushing south from Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, where militants linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group operate. In the early hours of May 11, about 60 gunmen on motorcycles launched a violent terrorist attack on a military post in Pinkankadi, near the border of Burkina Faso, killing 8 Togolese soldiers and wounding 13, the government said at the time. Togo Security Minister General Demihim Yak on Wednesday evening said, according to well-informed sources, there were about 15 dead in the group of attackers. Soldiers had foiled an attack in November last year in the northern village of Sanluaga, making last week's attack the first to have casualties. Violence from armed groups and criminal networks is on the rise across West Africa. In 3 years, the region has suffered more than 5,300 terror-related attacks, claiming around 16,000 lives, Ghanaian Defense Minister Dominic Nitewul said earlier this month during a meeting of West African defense chiefs. And a new case of wild polio found in Mozambique is very similar to a case previously reported in Malawi, the acting director of the Africa Center for Disease Control and Prevention said on Thursday. When sequenced, that particular case in Mozambique had very close similarities to the case that had been reported in Malawi some weeks back. Ahmed Ogwel Uma told a weekly news briefing. In February, Malawi declared its first case of wild polio virus in 30 years when a 3-year-old girl in the Lilongwe district was paralyzed as a result of her infection. The case raised alarm because Africa was declared free of wild polio in 2020, and there are only 2 countries in the world where it is endemic: Afghanistan and Pakistan. Pakistan marked a year without cases in January 2022. Polio, a highly infectious disease spread mainly through contamination by fecal matter, used to kill and paralyze thousands of children annually. There is no cure, but vaccination brought the world close to ending the wild form of the disease. And now on the foreign scene, the International Committee of the Red Cross, ICRC, has begun registering hundreds of prisoners of war, POWs, from the besieged AZOVSTAL steelworks in the Ukrainian port of Mariupol, it said on Thursday. The ICRC said in a statement that the operation to track fighters leaving the plant, including the wounded, began on Tuesday and was ongoing as of Thursday. As part of the process, the ICRC records information from the individuals to keep track of those who have been captured. It added that it is not transporting the POWs to the places where they are held. And still on the foreign scene, Joe Biden will visit Japan and South Korea on his first Asian trip as U.S. president, carrying a clear message to China not to try what Russia did in Ukraine anywhere in Asia, and especially not in Taiwan. Biden departed for the 5-day trip on Thursday after spending several months organizing allies to punish Russia for its invasion of Ukraine, which Moscow calls a special operation. He meets new South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol in Seoul and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida in Tokyo. Leaders who share anxieties about North Korea and China and are eager to build on their long alliances with Washington. At its core, this trip is about building out the alliance network in East Asia, in part to counter any Chinese actions against Taiwan, said Evan Medeiros, an Asia specialist in the Barack Obama administration. Sweeping sanctions Biden led against Russia would not be so simple against Beijing. China is South Korea's largest trade partner and the biggest source of goods that Japan imports, in each case beating number 2 United States by a wide margin. Well, that's it on News Now. Up next is Entertainment Business.
Hello and welcome to Entertainment Business. I am Chioma Amaribulam. TikTok is launching a set of tools that will allow creators to more easily credit the original creators behind viral trends on the social media platform. The tools, which will roll out over the coming weeks, will allow TikTok creators to directly tag and credit the original videos and creators who originated a trend on their own iterations of the video. The credited video will then appear as a mention in the caption of the newly uploaded TikTok video, allowing viewers to click through to view the tagged video. As part of the rollout, TikTok is also adding more user prompts to encourage those uploading videos to credit the creators and original videos that may have served as inspiration for the new work. The long-awaited crediting tools come after BIPOC TikTok creators have spoken out for years about not receiving proper credit for being the creators of viral dances, trends, and sounds on the app. Last summer, Black TikTok creators even staged a virtual strike to call attention to the matter by refusing to create dances to a song that was poised to be the next viral hit on TikTok. Moving on, Lionsgate is increasing its production footprint in the tri-state area. The Hollywood studio is set to become the anchor tenant in a $125 million studio complex in Newark, New Jersey. The studio deal follows Lionsgate anchoring a $100 million studio complex in Yonkers, New York. Robert Halmey's Great Point Studios will build, own, and operate the 12-acre film and TV studio complex in New Jersey, while Lionsgate takes a minority stake and has naming rights on the facility. The purpose-built Newark studio, expected to open in early 2024, will be located in the city's southward at the site of the former Seth Boyden housing site, near to Newark Liberty International Airport and other local transport infrastructure. The 300,000 square foot complex will include production stages ranging from 20,000 to 30,000 square feet in size, offices, and support space. Lionsgate expanding its New York City production hub comes as the studio has around 100 scripted, unscripted, and 3 art TV series airing and produced 21 feature films last year amid the pandemic. And away from that now, visual effects and animation firm DNEG has re-upped its multi-year service deal with Netflix for $350 million. The terms of the deal will see DNEG do work on Netflix series and movies in the US and abroad, including the current 2022 slate that includes Knives Out 2, The School for Good and Evil, The Adam Project, and Slumberland. The new agreement extends and expands an earlier arrangement signed in 2022 that created a pipeline of Netflix programming work to run through 2025. DNEG disclosed in a May 9th SEC filing related to plans to merge with a SPAC called Sports Ventures Acquisition Corporation to secure a NASDAQ listing that Netflix will assign a minimum of $350 million of work to the VFX firm, which may be increased if certain project award milestones are achieved. DNEG has won 7 Oscars for its VFX work and earlier produced effects for Netflix series like Look and Key, Shadow and Bone, The Irregulars, Cursed, Altered Carbon, and Jupiter's Legacy. And it's a wrap on Entertainment Business. I am Chioma Amaribulam.
You've been watching Business Now, coming to you from our studios here. Next is Sport Business.
Newcastle United's new owners have reported a reduced loss after tax of £12.2 million and have pumped in £167.9 million since their arrival, the club's latest financial statement has revealed. Figures for the 11 months to June 30, 2021, during which Mike Ashley was still at the helm, shows overall turnover fell by £12.4 million to £140.2 million, with match income slashed by 99% to just £200,000 due to the absence of crowds at St. James's Park under COVID-19 restrictions. Media revenue increased by £13.2 million to £119.3 million, while the club's wages to turnover ratio fell from 79.4% to 76.2%, although that was in part due to the fact that the previous accounting period covered 13 months. The loss after tax represents a drop of £10.3 million on the previous period. Amanda Stavely's 80% Saudi-backed consortium completed its takeover in October last year and has since injected almost £168 million in equity, partly in settlement of an outstanding interest-free loan owed to Ashley St. James's Holdings Limited. The figures reveal the former owner was due £106.9 million and also to fund signings in an ultimately successful bid to stave off relegation. Still talking sports business, history was made on Wednesday when U.S. soccer and men's and women's national teams announced a collective bargaining agreement that will see the team's athletes receive equal pay. The agreement, which begins on the 1st of June and runs through 2028, will see World Cup prize money pooled between both teams and split equally. Despite participating in nearly every World Cup since 1990, the United States men's team has never won the tournament. France, the men's team that won the World Cup in 2018, received $38 million, while the U.S. women's national team, which won the women's version a year later, only took home $4 million. The women will have the same pay-to-play payment structure as the men. Not all women's players, will have guaranteed salaries. The teams will also split revenue made commercially, which is 10% of revenue between $55 million and $75 million, and 15%, which is above $75 million at events. Federation-controlled matches would amount for $18,000 for a win, $12,000 for a draw, and $8,000 for a loss if the opposing team is ranked in the top 25. The announcement outlined other benefits, including equality of venues, accommodations, and team staffing. The agreement also finalizes the U.S. Women's National Team's February equal pay settlement, in which the U.S. Soccer Federation will pay $22 million to the players. And finally, on sports business, UEFA has been working on a $6.3 billion rescue fund for the past year to assist European football clubs in recovering from pandemic-related financial woes, but that has reportedly been halted. Problems have surfaced over details about how the fund would sit within UEFA and be distributed to clubs. It was set to include an emergency funding facility, a separate amount for future crises, and new rules regarding financial fair play. Citigroup, which was hired to arrange the package, but will only get its full fee if the fund is a success. While the fund could materialize in the future, UEFA is reportedly looking at other options, including a separate board. No matter the option UEFA ends up choosing, it's clear that most European clubs need the assistance. Deloitte reported that the European football market contracted by 13% for the first time since the global financial crisis in 2008-2009. The same report found that the Big Five European leagues saw its revenue decline by 11% in 2019-2020 to around $16.4 billion from $18.6 billion the season before. Previous reports said clubs would be able to restructure existing debts and have access to funds at lower borrowing rates as part of the package. And that's sports business at this time. I'm Samson Lady.
Well, thank you, Samson, and that's all we have for you on the Business Now at this hour. Many thanks for watching. I am Franco Malape. Bye-bye for now.